JF Stretford, Paddock. This is Transfers Live. That's Joe Smith, who's late. Apologise to everyone because they're going mad at me in the chat.
Me?
When it was actually you. You decided to go and watch your Rio Ferdinand video again.
Well, that wasn't me, and I wasn't late. I was on time. I was setting this set up. As you can see, we're on a slightly different set today. A temporary set, you might say. Although, actually, the one we had downstairs was fake brick, and this is real brick. So, if anything, this one's better. Was it?
Smells like my youth.
Does it? That
Yes.
white powder on those bricks going straight in Jay's nostrils. What are we talking about tonight, Jay?
We're talking about, there's a game tomorrow.
Is there?
Some European thing. In fact, the most important European competition there is, the Europa League. We've got the final tomorrow. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and Bruno Fernandes have been talking ahead of that, so we'll get into all that stuff. Also, that bloke that wears a waistcoat has announced his provisional squad for the Euros.
What, Steve Davis?
Yes. He's taking the Snooker Loopy gang on
What are
tour.
you burping up?
I'm done.
Apple crumble, if I can tell you. That's what we had for his
Made
dessert.
by Christine at Christine's Tea Room on Liverpool Road in Ireland. If you've not done it, check it out already. Yeah, I've been burping up apple crumble. Thanks for pointing that out. We'll also be hearing about Eric Bailly, who's made in some statements apparently. Transfer rumours: Rúben Neves, Jesse Lingard may be going, and Jason Sanchez.
Yeah.
Something to do with him.
This is good, actually. I like this.
What?
This is a good story that we've got coming up because it talks about, Alex mentioned it briefly on the news of the day.
Yeah.
But it talks about what the players want and what the manager/managerial team want at Manchester United. It's a nice little dichotomy, if you will. Very
Dichotomy.
exciting. Yeah.
I like that. Eh?
Yeah.
I don't use that word enough.
Why not?
I don't know. Whenever I want something like that, I always go with like juxtaposition.
You say, give me crumble, give me crumble, don't you? That's all you ever say these days.
That rolls off the tongue. Lots of people watching, which is always a treat. So do hit that like button. Get involved in the comments as well. Let us know what you think about any of the stories and how nervous, excited, anxious, whatever you are about tomorrow night's big clash against Villarreal. Should we get into it then?
Yes.
Right. Gdansk. And also, on that front, Gdansk, we've got people over there.
Yeah.
So we'll be giving you updates.
We've got men on the street.
We've got men,
in Gdansk.
boots on the ground, people in the street. Yeah, don't worry about that. We've got you covered. And we'll be getting fan reaction from the game tomorrow as Perkins fans are back in the games. We're going to have fan cams, actual fan cams that I was lot stood in here.
How good's that?
That's midnight, isn't it? We had Old Trafford, didn't we, the other day?
It's better if we win.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
If we don't win, it's just going to be
sad
like...
James Young, freshly off the back of being around some scary blokes, and he's going to go, we lost. And it's going to be real upsetting. So I hope for James's sake...
To be fair, I like James Young when he's doing a little rant. No, when he's doing a little rant, I like it when he's a bit pissed off. But I don't want that to happen. I'd rather he was buzzing. Right, so Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has been speaking ahead of the game tomorrow. He did a press conference today, the Europa League final presser. And he was joined by Bruno Fernandes. We'll start with Ole. We'll start with what Ole said. And he was talking about players and whether they deserve the right to play. And who he's going to pick, because there's lots of rumours going around about who's going to make the squad. Obviously, there's some intrigue there about centre-back partnership. Is it going to be Harry Maguire? Harry Maguire, yes. Is it going to be Harry Maguire?
Yes.
We'll get into that a little bit later on. Here's, first of all, there's one person we know who isn't playing, definitely 100% won't be playing tomorrow night. And that's Anthony Martial. As you can see there, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer says, we prepared.
Come on.
We prepared well. Anthony didn't make it. Phil didn't make it, of course. And Harry is just going to jog up and down the sidelines in training. And then later on he says, I reckon he'll try to join in a bit. He's not playing, is he?
No.
You don't start a European final with your only bit of training jogging up and down the sidelines.
No.
That's not going to work. That isn't going to happen. He's not going to play.
No.
I love Harry Maguire. I'm gutted for the kid, but he ain't playing.
Get it out of your heads. If anyone at home thinks he's going to start, I'd be stunned. Imagine if he does now. That'd be great. Just with a boot on still. Are you allowed to play with one of those plastic boots on? Is there a limit to how big a boot can be?
That's a good question, isn't it?
Yeah. Because obviously it's normally the boot and then it's the shin pad. But you're allowed to have it all in one like he has at the minute.
Maybe because just wheel him out.
Yeah, in a
Do
wheelchair.
you know what I mean? Yeah.
He'd be great in a wall.
Yeah.
Although actually they kick it over him.
That's ableist anyway if you don't let people with disabilities play.
Great point.
So you should let him be wheeled on.
So he's going to be playing in a wheelchair, but he ain't playing, is he?
No, he's not.
Just look at this. I reckon he'll try to join in a bit. He's going to jog up and down the sidelines.
I mean, that is completely ridiculous. Those are the sorts of scenarios when Sir Alex Ferguson who I interviewed last week, but I won't go into that, would just say he's not made it.
No.
None of this, he's going to be jogging up and down on the sidelines. I think Ole, maybe he's trying to give Harry Maguire a little bit of hope and saying, all right, let's see what you've got in you, come kick off. But, not come kick off before, the squads are announced. Yeah. But I just can't see, it's just not going to happen. No. He's not match fit. He's been carrying this injury. He's obviously not been training properly. Up until a week ago, he was wearing a boot on his foot, as you pointed out, and was on crutches.
And not a football boot.
No, and I know that's precautionary, but still, the fact you've got to do that, you can't go into a game of this magnitude with a player who isn't remotely 100%.
No.
And, imagine you did and he makes a mistake or he can't keep up or whatever. It'd just be a farce. The others have got to step up. I mean, we do have other options, don't we? At centre-back.
Well, we must do, because otherwise, why haven't we bought anyone?
Yeah.
Like, I know that I'm not blaming Ollie for this, but if we don't have anyone that is remotely worth playing ahead of a 30% fit Harry Maguire, then sell them. Get rid of them all.
I love that.
If Baye isn't good enough, if Axel isn't good enough, if Phil Jones isn't good enough, that there's reports. I was on the radio with Gaz Drinkwater before, obviously formerly, and on this channel.
Interviewing Rio Ferdinand. Fuck off.
I didn't mention Rio Ferdinand.
You keep going on about it, right? How many times are you going to mention Rio Ferdinand on this video?
I said it once.
Right, you interviewed Rio Ferdinand, right? I get it. You've interviewed him, yeah? Steve's interviewed him, yeah? Mac has interviewed him, yeah? I get it. There's a word for that. Racial. Except there isn't, and I can't use that.
We said, who do you want interviewing you? And he went, anyone but him.
Yeah.
And you know why. Is that what you suggested? Because there is no word for that. And also, you're clearly upset because I haven't mentioned Rio Ferdinand once. Anyone at home can attest to that. Jay's having a bad time with the Rio thing. Right. And that's fine.
You literally said to me the other day, you went, saw your interview with Fergie. Very nice. Yeah? Rio?
Yeah. Rio, are you going to let this stand? Because
need a favour, need a United legend, like a big one, and you fit the bill.
No.
Yeah, Yapstam said no, Vidic, he weren't available.
Yeah.
Can you get down here first thing Monday morning
Pronto.
for an interview? And he went, yeah.
He went, see you Tuesday.
For you, big man.
See you Tuesday.
See you Tuesday, not a problem.
Back to my point.
Go on, sorry. Ignore my nonsense.
If Axel and Baye, I was on the radio with Gaz Drinkwater before you spiraled into a tirade of hate.
A diatribe,
and he was saying one of the teams in training featured Victor Lindelof and Nemanja Matic as centre-backs. Now, I don't know if that's just a training thing. Obviously, you're not going to maybe have both your first-team players on the same team if you're trying to have even teams. I don't know. But that suggests to me that there is a scenario in place where Ole thinks Matic might play at the back. Now, if you're starting a final with Nemanja Matic ahead of Baye to Axel and Phil Jones, those three aren't good enough. Those three aren't in the manager's plans, and we need more centre-backs if that's the case. Because we've got three centre-backs there. Phil Jones, I know that he's a figure of ridicule, but he's played a lot of games for Manchester United. He's won trophies for Manchester United. Eric Bailly is a very promising player that seemingly it's only injuries that stand in his way. Same for Axel Tuanzebe. But if they're not being picked ahead of Nemanja Matic, which again is just a rumour, this was just a training exercise, it may be nothing. But what's going on? How can you have players that are so untrusted by the manager? We saw it the other week when Axel was on the bench. And Ole brought Matic on and put McTominay at the back. Brought him on for Fred, put McTominay at the back. It's like, what's going on here? We need to have players that the manager can trust. So, yeah, that worries me a little bit. But hopefully, there's no Harry Maguire. We've said we can pretty much rule that out. For me, it's got to be Lindelof and Baye, isn't it?
You'd think so, wouldn't you? Because, like you say, Eric Bailly earlier on in the season, when he had his sort of purple patch, if you can call it that, was superb. Yeah. And the irony was he was the perfect foil for Harry Maguire, and it's rather than a perfect replacement for Harry Maguire. Yeah. Going back to your point about Nemanja Matic, can Nemanja Matic play 2 games in 3 days, whatever, 4 days?
Yeah,
I don't think he can. You can argue that someone like Eric Bailly can when he's fit. I know he has injury problems, but he's a fit person, if that makes sense, in terms of his athleticism and his ability to sort of play a lot of games consistently when he's not injured. It's just when he gets injured that it's a problem. Axel Tuanzebe, again, you think he could probably do it if you listen. Nemanja Matic, I don't know if he's got the legs in him to play 2 games in quick succession. I think that sounds to me more like it's just a training thing.
Yes, I would guess it would be.
Yeah, rather than this is my... Yeah, because that would be a massive gamble from Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. And also, I think that would be a kick in the teeth and maybe the end of the line for someone like Axel Tuanzebe and maybe even Eric Bailly. I know Eric Bailly's just agreed a new deal, hasn't he? Or signed a new deal, I think. We've got a story on Eric Bailly in a bit I'll get to. I think there was something on Axel Tuanzebe's Instagram that I saw. Was it like that said last dance and people were looking into that, but and a picture of him at the final. I'm just going to try and find it now. Where it said something like, I think it was him in Gdansk, and he'd put last dance and people were like, oh, does that mean he's going to, he's leaving?
Or does that mean he's going to be playing basketball for the next few years? Like Michael Jordan did? He's going to go play baseball for a season.
You can see it says last dance, sorry.
Yeah, so it's him walking out onto the pitch in Gdansk.
Yeah, and it just says last dance. But I don't think that means anything. It's the last game of the season, isn't it? Yeah, so it could just mean that. I'm just going to get quickly into the comments. Charlie Young says, get Gaz back on. We've been talking to Gaz. When's he coming back on? Well, seeing as you're the new, practically the co-host of his show. Well, I think between us, we're always on it, aren't we, every week?
Because he works for the BBC, it's tricky with COVID restrictions to get him in the studio. So we're going to either get him on StreamYard or hopefully when the restrictions ease up a bit, we can get him down in the studio. That's the plan.
We want to get him back on. We all love
we're trying to get him back on. We have contacted him to try and get him on.
Yeah, full-time Devils. He's up for coming on as well. Don't let anyone think we fell out or anything like that. No. He's going to come back on and we all love a bit of Gaz Drinkwater. Peter Kelly in Super Chat says, I'd play Bailly and Axel. Lindelof looks so weak in the air and is easily pushed off the ball by attackers. Joseph Smith, discuss that one for me.
Read it again for me.
I'd play...
Because you were drinking tea and it was really
You weren't listening, were you? Tell the truth, eh?
I listening.
I bet Real said it, you'd have listened. Eh?
I bet if Fergie said it, you'd have cried.
Yeah,
loser.
Fucking right, I would have. I'd play Bailly and Axel. Lindelof looks so weak in the air and is easily pushed off the ball by attackers. That was from Peter Kelly. Thank you, Peter.
Thanks, Peter. Sorry for not. I wasn't listening. I was just drinking a cup of tea.
You can't multitask and drink and listen at the same time. God forbid. That was a proper. We'll discuss this off camera.
I think it just.
And now I'm scared.
I think I heard a little close. When you've been drinking, you don't listen to me. That sort of thing.
This stream's going to last for 5 hours now because I'm scared that he's going to tell me off when we finish. Go on.
Can you read it again? Sorry, I forgot it again. No.
Bailly and Axel, does that work? No Lindelof. Is Lindelof going to get dropped?
I personally think. I don't think that either of those two are better than Lindelof.
He's not, right? Can we just say something straight away? I know you're being quite diplomatic here, but Lindelof doesn't get rested against Wolves and then get rested for the final.
No.
That doesn't happen.
No.
Right? It just doesn't. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer doesn't play Bailly and Tuanzebe against Wolves and then play them both 3 days later.
Yeah.
It's just not, I'm not being funny, it's just not going to happen.
And also, I know that we can look at Lindelof's weaknesses and we can say he's not the best in the air. Yeah. Sometimes physically, if he's against a sort of a quick straight line player who is also strong, he can really struggle in those situations. Someone like Lukaku is Lindelof's kryptonite. He's stronger than him, he's taller than him, he's faster than him, he's better in the air than him. But can you tell me Axel Tuanzebe's weaknesses? Do you even know them? Well,
I think when I've seen him play recently, when he's not played well, like against Istanbul, he was just caught out of position, wasn't he, a couple of times. That was mainly positional sense. Yeah. I mean, was it Arsenal when he played at left back and he played them all onside? Yeah. I think so. You could argue that maybe his positioning at times, if I'm being forced to pick a weakness, isn't perhaps the greatest. I don't know about him in the air as well. That's a bit of an unknown quantity for me.
But exactly, that's my point. Right, a lot of Axel Tuanzebe's game is an unknown quantity. Right. And obviously it will be more known to Ollie because he sees him in training, but he doesn't see him in matches. Yeah. He doesn't have a 150 game sample size to go, here's what he's not good against, here's what he is good against, here's how I can work the defence, here's how I can set up instructions to work around that. Victor Lindelof, we know his limitations. Axel Tuanzebe has played, 10, 15 first-team games for Manchester United? Not very many, anyway. Yeah. So I think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer likes consistency and he likes to know what he's getting. So I think, like you said, Lindelof was rested because he's certainly playing, and I don't think he's the worst defender in the world, and I think he's got very known, very obvious weaknesses that hopefully we can try and counteract with tactics. That's my hope, anyway. What are you looking at? You're really leaning in there.
Sorry, I'm just looking. There's some more quotes from Ole Gunnar Solskjaer there. If producer Cams want to bring any of the Ole Gunnar Solskjaer quotes up. He already has. These are big nights for us. It might be a stepping stone for a big future. This group of players has been working for a year and a half together. The next step for them is to enjoy a game like this. I've seen something growing inside of the players.
I know what you've seen. One of them ate a watermelon seed.
Right.
And now a watermelon tree's growing in there.
Oh, that's beautiful,
That's
isn't
what
it?
happens,
And
isn't
it's going to blossom in the middle of the Gdansk
No.
pitch.
It's going to grow and drive a hole straight through their pancreas.
Hopefully into the oncoming striker as he's about to score.
Yeah, like Groot off of Guardians of the Galaxy.
And that is technically not a foul,
No.
because it's a natural part of your body making a
It's
tackle.
an organic watermelon tree that grew
and then,
quickly in this occasion. Like forced rhubarb. Have you heard about forced rhubarb?
Despite all my best intentions, go on, tell me.
So there's a place in Britain called the Rhubarb Triangle, which I think, correct me if I'm wrong, is Bradford, Leeds and Wakefield.
That's like the shittest version of the Bermuda Triangle I've ever heard. No disrespect to anyone from Bradford,
Rhubarb
Leeds
Triangle,
and Wakefield.
where rhubarb is.
Where you just get lost.
Rhubarb Triangle, don't go near.
Lovely.
Where about 50% of the world's rhubarb is grown in this area, and it's called forced rhubarb because they grow it in the dark.
Right.
And in certain times of the year, it grows so fast you can hear it creaking.
Really?
Yep. And it grows like an inch in a day.
We've got half the world's rhubarb supplies in the Rhubarb Triangle.
Yeah.
Mate. And we were worried about Brexit. We didn't have to worry about...
Yeah.
We'll just put rhubarb up by about 800%, and what are they going to do about it? Fuck all, because we own half of it. We're laughing.
Exactly. I don't know why I said that.
I don't either, but I'm glad you did, because now I feel elucidated about rhubarb. Bruno Fernandes has also been talking at the press conference, which, because if you don't know about the press conferences in Europe, they usually have a manager, or the manager, I should say, and a player.
Yeah. Not just our manager.
The manager, they usually have the manager of one of the
Tonight's
clubs featuring.
It's Man United versus Villarreal. We've got Phil Scolari. He's a retired former Brazil World Cup winning manager.
Oh, he's one of my faves.
And a player.
Yeah. Yes, they have the manager of one of the clubs and a player, and it's obviously Bruno Fernandes, as you can see from the graphic, who has been put up for interview or put up for press conference for this one. He says, "We know our fans are important, as we've seen over the last year. Football without fans is such a different sport. To have them back again, another game in a final, is really good for us, and I hope they can enjoy." I mean...
Thoughts on the quote, football without fans is a different sport? Slight twist on the usual.
Why not just say football without fans is nothing?
We've heard of footballs without fans is nothing. I won't go that far. I would say football without fans is different.
Yeah.
Bruno Fernandes, get that on,
he's added his own twist.
Get that on your Stretford end.
Yeah, I think there's a TRA who put that up, wasn't it? Who got that one put up. They might have to do a different one or one next to it.
A much longer one.
Yeah. Football without fans is such a different sport. I mean, he's got a point there. I think, is it 2,000 Reds are going to be there? Something like that?
I think so.
Yeah, so there are going to be fans, obviously nowhere near as many as there would have been. But having just a small amount of fans is obviously, it does make a difference, as Bruno is pointing out there. We've spoken about this loads of times, but we'll speak about it again quickly. Bruno Fernandes yet to win a trophy, which seems ridiculous because he's not that young and he is that talented. Yeah. He's going to be well up for this one, isn't he?
I think we're going to see a completely different team, a completely different performance from the same team that we saw against Liverpool and against Fulham as well, wasn't it?
I think sometimes...
I think there'll be another level to it.
I think you said it on a watch-along, is that... I'm not saying players don't try.
No.
I'm not saying that they don't care. I think sometimes when Liverpool go in that game knowing if we don't win, we're out of Europe next season, we're done. United go into this game going, in 2 weeks' time, I've got the biggest game of my life. Yes, I want to win this game. Yes, it's against the Scousers, but there's that thing in there of, you know, it's not the be-all and end-all. It's like, sometimes that might just knock a few, 10% or whatever off you. Whereas they went for it, obviously had to get that result, and they got it. But this one, they'll all be up for it. This is it. This caps off the season against the Villarreal team, which is, beatable, no matter what you think about him. You'd think he'd be up for it. Yeah,
and Ollie's quietly rested Marcus Rashford as well, which I think has been good. I think he's only played about 70 minutes in the last 3 games or something.
Which is unreal for Marcus Rashford, isn't it, under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer?
Yeah, I may not be right exactly on the numbers there, but he's certainly been rested more than some of the other players. I think the likes of Paul Pogba, Bruno Fernandes, Marcus Rashford in particular, those 3, I'm expecting big things from them because they've had a bit more extra rest. Cavani the same thing, and they're going to be so up for this. Marcus Rashford is, I would say, level with Bruno and Pogba as the leaders of this team. Certainly the outfield players in terms of not the leaders as in the captain, because obviously Maguire's the captain, but the star men in this team. You look at Rashford, you look at Pogba, you look at Bruno. Whereas when we won the FA Cup, was it Ibrahimovic? Was he there then? Who was this?
No. It was under Van Gaal. It was like you had Lingard,
Fellaini, Pogba as well.
Yeah, I think Rooney lifted the trophy.
Rooney, of course, was the leader of the team.
Yeah.
And then when we won the Europa League, I know he was injured, but Zlatan was the leader of that team, and you had Paul Pogba there as well.
And it was very weird the Europa running it because like Mkhitaryan was fantastic during that competition. Not so much in the league, but that competition. Zlatan obviously played his part till he got injured.
Yeah.
Bailly, I think, played his part till he got injured. And then you had again Jesse and Marcus playing. It felt like a lot of people stepped up in certain games rather than we had a consistent team that was wonderful in every game. Hence the reason we finished 6th and won 2 trophies that probably weren't the biggest trophies we could have got, but good trophies to win. Yeah. So that sort of indicated where we're at.
Whereas now, Marcus Rashford is as big a name as anyone in this team.
Of course he is.
He's as relied upon as anyone to get goals and assists in this team. And the same with Bruno Fernandes. He's never won any big trophies when he's been the sort of the front of the team. He's not done that. He's not had the chance to do that. I think they'll really want to prove that they can be the sort of players that take teams to trophies, and they've got a great chance of doing that now. And like you said, the last few games, I think it's so easy to drop 5 or 10% because you don't really want to get injured. The results don't matter that much because we've already got second confirmed, and you've got the biggest game, maybe of your life coming up for Bruno, I would say.
It's mad because I'm a petty, bitter man, me, Joe, as you well know. Oh, yeah. But it's like in Fergie's last season, when he knew he was retiring and when we had the league pretty much wrapped up, he started resting loads of players. Yeah. It's like he didn't. And the reason I regret a little bit, or I was a bit disappointed. We were on for record number of points, we were on for record number of goals, I think, as well. And then he just started changing it because he's just giving players a game. He didn't care about getting the most wins or whatever. He wasn't his thing. He just wanted to get the title. And once that was done, he wasn't bothered. But you could see that certain games, like the derby, for example, at Old Trafford, where we were almost there but not quite, and City knew they needed a win just to keep it going. It felt like that. Do you know what I mean? It felt like almost as an error of it doesn't matter. Yeah. And I think that's crept in a little bit of the last few weeks where you've seen that, as I was saying, against the Scousers and other teams where we're second no matter what. Yeah. And we've got this other game that's more important. Yeah. So it's just a case of, let's just not hurt ourselves too much because then we're going to miss the biggest game of our careers potentially. AK in the Super Chat says, I think it's going to be Ollie and Pogba's biggest game. The stability of their future hinges on this. Does this make any difference to whether we see Paul Pogba at Old Trafford next season and whether Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has the support of the board next season? I think it might make some difference. Okay. And I think more than anything with Ole, the Ole side of things, I think it will change some fans' perception of how well he's doing. Yeah. And obviously, it will change everyone's perception of how well he's doing because a trophy is better than not a trophy. So anyone would say, well, yeah, he's doing better. But some people will say, we've bottled it again. I know we got to the final, but we've seen the semi-final record. Now we've lost in a final. He's a bottle job. He's not going to win us anything. Whereas if he wins this, no one can say that. All they can say is, well, it's not the biggest trophy, but it's a trophy. So I think in terms of how the board see pressure that comes from the fans and comes from discontent amongst the fan base, I think winning this could make a significant difference. Yeah, I do. And obviously with that comes, how equipped is this team to win the big trophies? You've got to start by winning this. And I think Paul Pogba and other big players will see that. No, I completely agree with that, 100%. I think, I'm just proper nervous, but I think we've got the personnel to do this. I really do. I think, like you say, the players you've mentioned, they're amongst the best players in the world. They really are. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? And it's like Villarreal haven't got that calibre of player. And I know we've been beaten by lesser teams this season before. You look at some of the results we've had, like Sheffield United, Crystal Palace, for example, the ones that stick out in particular. But, we have had some good results and we have had a lot of good performances by some of these players we've mentioned, and on their day, they can beat anyone. We have beaten the best teams. We've beaten City, we've beaten PSG. So there's no reason to think why we can't beat Villarreal. We just need to make sure we don't be too complacent and go into this game thinking it's already won. Harry Maguire. Yes. I mean, you speak about leaders, you speak about big players, you speak about sort of Ollie's most trusted servants, shall we say, the ones he turns to, and one man fits all those bills, and that's Harry Maguire, and it's just not happening, like we said. We've already sort of touched upon this, which centre-back pairing would you like to see? There's people in the chat saying Axel and Bailly could be a starter. I don't think that's going to happen. Go on, hit me with it. Yeah, like I said, we've talked about a lot of this, but the point I would like to make before we move on, I mean, in terms of who's playing, it is Lindelof and other. Yeah, Lindelof is playing tomorrow. It's either Lindelof and Maguire, if he's fit, which he won't be, or it's Lindelof and Bailly, or it's Lindelof and Tuanzebe. Yeah. There's no way Lindelof doesn't play. No. And I think fair enough. I think he's our best fit centre-back.
just briefly on Maguire himself before we go into this, before we move on, sorry. Obviously, we've heard all these stories, and I hate to reference it, but if you haven't seen it, Bruno Fernandes, we did do an interview with him that was out earlier today, so check that out. He mentioned he thinks maybe the best games Maguire's played this season, or the best games Maguire has had this season, are the ones he hasn't played in, because he's shown just how important he is when he's not there. And I think we do need to give a lot of credit this season to Harry Maguire, and I think a lot of credit last season to Harry Maguire as well, because I know defence wasn't as good in terms of our defensive record this season as it was last year, but I think we conceded like 20-odd goals less than the season before last year, and then I think 6 more this year. But he's made our defence much better. He is our best defender. I think he's had a brilliant season since Christmas. I think he's been, other than Ruben Diaz, I can't think of anyone who's been a better centre-back than him this season in the Premier League. I think he's been really excellent, and it's such a shame for him that he's going to miss this game, which he probably is. Hopefully, again, and my concern is in England, but looking just at him as Manchester United's captain and what is good for him, hopefully he's fit for the Euros, because it'd be such a shame to see him miss 2 of the biggest sort of sets of games of his career for the sake of such a freakish injury that is so rare for him. So, yeah, just a little sort of shout-out to him, and how much of a shame it is that he's going to miss this one, because he's been a massive part of this season. No,
completely agree with all that. It's such a shame, and he should be remembered this season that he's had a great season.
Yeah.
Not that he's missed the final with an injury. He's been fantastic, and I think people just need to get over the £80 million price tag and look what he brings to the team, and how well he's played for us. And like you said, he's made a massive difference. And if you could go back in time and sign Harry Maguire for £80 million, would you do it?
Absolutely,
you would. Do you know what I mean? There's no way you go back and go, actually, we wasted our money there. This isn't Alexis Sanchez. This is a player who has been essential to Manchester United, finishing 3rd and 2nd for those past 2 seasons and getting to this final that we're in now.
Yep.
So let's not be silly about it. Moving swiftly on.
Let's move swiftly on.
David De Gea.
Oh, hello. Hello. It's the gift that keeps on giving, this, isn't it?
It is. Now, Spanish Dave, as he's called amongst certain people. It says there, poised, yeah, as you said. Poised.
David poised.
Dave De Gea.
To manage Man United.
Yes, very good. To start Europa League final, with Henderson becoming first choice, will David De Gea be at Manchester United next season? So there's lots of reports, rumours, stories doing the rounds that David De Gea is going to start tomorrow night, but isn't going to be first choice moving forward. And actually, tomorrow night could be his last game for Manchester United Football Club, which would be kind of ironic, wouldn't it? Because was his last game for Atletico the Europa League final? I'm
not sure you mentioned that. I haven't looked that up. Check that out, Jay.
I'll check that out while you talk.
And I'll have a little talk about this, because I've seen a lot of people saying, or referencing this quote about where Ollie said, I can understand why the person who doesn't play, or this was an unofficial quote. This was referenced in the newspapers and said that this is what Ollie has said without actually quoting him. So, you know, whether you want to believe it or not. Basically saying he can understand why the person who doesn't play this game will consider it their last game for Manchester United, or consider their career at Manchester United over. So therefore, if De Gea plays, well, surely that's Henderson leaving. Well, if you look at the trend of how these games have gone on, De Gea started the season as Manchester United's league goalkeeper. Then Dean Henderson became Manchester United's league goalkeeper when De Gea went away on sort of paternity leave, if you will. Yep. Then he came back. De Gea was taking over the Europa League games, and Henderson was playing the league games. The only league game that Henderson didn't play since then is the last home game of the season, which coincidentally would be David De Gea's last ever game in front of Manchester United fans at home if he is to leave. So now he's just going back to being the cup goalkeeper again. I think as of next season, De Gea's gone, Henderson is the number 1. That's how the trend looks to me.
No, it wasn't. It was the season before he left that he won the Europa League.
Right.
So, no. Stats. But he did win it. Obviously, he didn't play in the final, did he, for us in Stockholm?
No.
Romero did, but he got a winner's medal anyway. But yeah, it would be a good way for him to bow out with a trophy. Probably should have had a few more trophies, shouldn't he, Dave?
He should have. It's been, I would say, the best goal in the world for 2, certainly, maybe 3 of the years he's been at United. But yeah, we don't. He has
won a title, FA Cup, League Cup, and Europa. So it's not like he's going to leave empty-handed.
He's won everything except the Champions League.
Yeah, it's just the fact that he won the league, didn't he, in like his 3rd season or whatever it was, and then has never really been in a shout with a league title since. And like you say, the Champions League, I think the furthest we've got with him is the quarters.
Yeah.
So a player of his calibre probably could have, if he had gone to Madrid, would probably sat on 3 or 4 Champions Leagues right now and a few La Ligas thrown in. But obviously his form hasn't been as great last couple of seasons as it was during his sort of player of the year winning times. It's not a surprise really if he does move on. And I think, you know, you just sort of wish him well. We'll have to wait and see though how it pans out, because it's a bit of a weird one with De Gea and Henderson, because they're both slightly flawed.
Yep.
They've both got sort of great attributes. They've both had games this season where you thought, brilliant, back to the best, or fantastic, he's ready for the first team. And then they've both had games where you think, he needs moving on. Jacob OC in the chat says, Kovar is a fantastic keeper. He's been saying about this, he said it a couple of times. Kovar could be the one to watch in a year or two. I just don't know. I've heard Dave Pritt spoken about him on the Academy reviews, obviously a talented youngster. I don't know if that's going to be the option for Manchester United to go. I know we've got a story coming up as well about a goalkeeper coming in. Tom Heaton's coming in. Could he be the answer? Tom Heaton, who, this is like sort of confirmed now that he's going to be coming in to United, returning to Manchester United.
The heat is on.
He's going to be returning to Manchester United. He was here, obviously. Was it about 12 years ago he was here?
Don't ask me.
Hey.
Give me a minute.
All right.
Fucking heat is on.
The heat is on. No, mate, seriously.
Scribble that out.
Hey, you wouldn't have made those jokes real, would you?
I wouldn't have.
No, you wouldn't have. Rightly so, you'd have embarrassed us all. Tom Heaton is sort of confirmed he's coming back to the club. I wish he'd have come back before he went to Burnley, because I remember that game he had against us for Burnley. He was ridiculous. He's 35 years old.
Yeah.
What is he?
Is he?
Tom Heaton?
No.
He fucking is.
Fucking is he?
Right,
I thought he was about 26.
Tom Heaton? No, he's 35.
Fucking hell, get him in. I
Tom
don't know. We still got Lee Grant. Tom Heaton's 35.
Tom Heaton's 35, but he's been sat on Villa's bench, hasn't he? So he's not coming into United to play.
He's not as good as Dean Henderson, is he?
No, he's
there
not.
You go then.
So
he's going to come in as like a third choice.
yeah, I think is it Romero out, Heaton in, but then De Gea out. Is someone else coming in, or is Heaton stepping up to the second place?
There was rumours of a Sam Johnston return as well, wasn't there?
Well, I'll tell you what, why don't we just bring back Tom Cleverley and Danny Welbeck? Imagine that.
Yeah.
That'd be sick, wouldn't it?
It'd be great, that.
I mean, yeah. Don't look
You want to get 3 goals a season.
3 really good goals.
Yeah. 3
Special
average goals.
Yeah. You know what I mean? Like the third one in a 3-0 win over Watford or something.
And he heads it off his own toe. Perfect.
Mate, and I'm on the pitch if fans are back in the stadium.
You're on the piss.
I am. Yeah, that's how good it is. It's a bright is over. Yeah, I mean, Sam Johnson, I don't know. We're just having a reunion here. Tom Heaton coming in, possibly, well, definitely Romero and probably De Gea. Still need another keeper, do we?
Imagine if Romero and De Gea both leave and Lee Grant is still there.
Talk of him going into the coaching staff, though, isn't there?
I mean, at some point he has to. He's getting his fucking seniors bus pass soon. He can't just keep playing for him. How is he getting away with this? He's getting paid 40 grand a week to just be what?
He played against Derby. He played against Astana.
I played against.
Are you forgetting these performances, these games? All right, we lost them both. It doesn't matter.
Absolute
bliss. He played against the Scousers, I think, in pre-season. All right, we got beat.
We got beat. He dropped a few claims.
Yeah, it wasn't his fault.
It was.
It wasn't. He's done
right. Well, okay. Anyway.
All right. Enough about Lee
Sam
Grant.
Johnston and
Sam Johnston's not coming. Tom Heaton is. Right. Let's move on. Eric Bailly's been chatting in the Times, I think, or he's quoting in the Times.
Don't Rick Bailey, which is his name if you pronounce it differently. That sounds like a sort of country singer, doesn't he? Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Rick Bailey, and he comes on down 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 down. My baby left me. Some like
that's blues. That
whatever. Mate.
You've gone from country to blues.
Okay. Gonna pick up in my old school truck, take it down to the riverside.
Yeah, so you can say he's quoting your country one if you want.
Fuck off. I don't want to be a starter one game.
One game of substitute.
Substitute for another 5. If that happens, I'll have to look down the other side.
Right, enough of this.
The
just
new
read it out
contract
normally.
is fine, but if I don't play, I will be open to listen to other proposals. Why have you signed it then?
I've
I've signed the contract, but only as a laugh. Like, you can't do that. If you're going to sign the contract, you're here for the contract. You can't sign it and then immediately go, well, you know what, I've signed a contract, but I might also leave. Why? What's that about? That's not a thing. That's not something people are allowed to do, is it, Jay?
No, it's really not. It isn't, and it's ridiculous. I mean, I don't know what's going on there. He said a few other things, if I can just find them, because this was a part of, I think it was a chart he's done that's being quoted in the, I think it's from the Times, if I can just find it. He spoke about Mourinho as well. He said, when he was sacked from Tottenham, I sent him a message, and when he signed for Roma, I spoke to him on the phone. We had a few laughs. He's a coach I've always been good with. Hopefully he'll do well in Italy, and we'll meet in the future. About that, mate.
What's going on? Where is this quotes coming from? Who is he speaking to?
The Times, according to my screen.
What is it? What a strange thing to say that is. The new contract is fine, but if I don't play, I'll be open to listen to other proposals. That's like United have gone, we'll do anything to keep you, and if we don't play, you can leave. That sounds like we were desperate in those negotiations. Because for someone to feel that confident to come out and say, yeah, I know I've just started this new job, and I'm still technically in my probation period, but, you know, if anyone else comes along, I'll fuck right off. Bit weird, isn't it?
I mean, I don't know sometimes how things come across and what he's trying to say. Is he being funny? Or is he just being sort of like, I'm here to play in terms of, I know I've missed a lot of games, but I want to play now, I want to get my head down, I want to just crack on. That's why I've signed a deal. I don't know. I mean, it is a bit weird, but the thing with Eric Bailly is, it's nothing to do with his ability or his, you know, his attitude or anything like that. It's just the fact he gets injured a lot. Yeah. And he gets injured at crucial times. Like, we had those 5 games where I think it was 5 games where he was outstanding. And he formed a partnership with Harry Maguire. And you're like, right, this could work, this. I think we just beat Villa, was it, at Old Trafford? And everyone was on the pitch giving him a hug and stuff. It might have been Wolves, one or the other. And then you're like, right, okay. And then next thing you know, he's injured again. And he's out. And it's like, Victor Lindelof comes back in. Then him and Maguire are sort of forming a partnership again. And then when when Eric Bailly is fit, it's like, well, does he come back in? Does he wait? And then he picks up another little knock, and it's just like, it goes on and on and on and on. I like Eric Bailly. I think everyone does. He's a very popular player amongst Manchester United fans. I've just read a comment here that says Bailly's shit. Apart from he's a popular player amongst United fans, apart from Eamon Mack.
But. I mean, you're going to the next Rick Bailey tour, stopping at Manchester Arena. 2 tickets standing. Exactly. We'll get our straw hats and we'll go straight down.
I'm not too concerned about these quotes. He's signed a contract. I don't think he's going anywhere. He can chat about Jose Mourinho all he wants. If he really wants to sort of get a move, then he might need to play some more football than he has done recently anyway, and he might need to look at the small print of his contract because he's not going to go anywhere for free because he just signed a deal, so I don't know what all that's about. Enough of outgoing. Should we talk about incomings?
Come on, finally. Where's the transfers at? Huh?
Wolves. Oh. Who's the main man for Wolves? Yeah, when you think of Wolves, you know how you used to think about Steve Bull back in the 80s?
I've only just stopped thinking about him.
Yeah.
I thought about him a minute ago when I went to the toilet.
Good. Right. And then it might have been, you know, a bit further down the line you were thinking of, you know, Dennis Irwin.
Your Irwins.
Because he went there and you remember him from his time at Old Trafford.
Who else is?
Ince as well.
Your Inces.
Paul Ince. And then it gets a little bit further down the line.
It gets a bit foggy at that point, doesn't it?
Yeah. Kenny Miller, maybe. Remember when he scored against United? What the fuck was all that about?
Yeah.
Then you get to the modern day era.
Yeah.
The current Wolves team.
Your Connor Codys.
Your
Patricios.
Your
Rúben Neves.
Your Rúben Neves, there he is, the main man. Apparently he's available for just 35 million quid. Wolves are looking to offload players to fund summer rebuild. How would Neves fit into Man United's midfield, and who would you partner with him, Joseph?
Well, first of all, let's have a look at this price tag, because how long's left on his contract? Jay, do the research. My research man is on it. I think he's either 23 or he's 24, but he was 23 a few months ago, so he's probably still 23, if maths and numbers are anything to go by. He's a very young player, 35 million. I think he's really good. My worry with Rúben Neves is, I know that people always talk about that he's slow, and people always say in response to that, well, he doesn't get caught out very, very much because his positioning's so good. I worry that in the sorts of games that United are playing, in the Champions League, against the best teams, against the sort of, you know, imagine he's playing against players how they play against Wolves.
Yeah.
There's a different level to how players play when they're playing against Man United. And I just worry that whilst I think he's an excellent player, who do you partner him with? Because think who we've got at United. Next to him, he needs someone like Fred. But it's not. We don't want Fred here. I think McTominay and Neves isn't mobile enough. I think Pogba and Neves isn't industrious enough and mobile enough. I think alongside him, we need someone who's like Fred, but more composed. Do you know what I mean? So I just think he's a very good player. He'd be a very good squad player. But I just wonder whether he's exactly what United need at the minute, because I'm just not quite sure he's got enough. I don't know. He's a very good player, so I'm sure it'd be.
I mean, yeah, 24 years old. Obviously,
a little bit.
He's had 3 seasons now in the Premier League where he's played almost every game for him.
Yeah.
You look, it's 35, 38, 36 in terms of games. So he's been ever present in the team. And obviously they've done relatively well during that period.
Yeah.
Last couple of seasons were a lot better than this one. Sort of tailed off a lot this season. I think they've missed Jota and Jimenez because they have a good squad, but they don't have a massive squad. It's quite short. Wow, look at them two cheeky monkeys over there, eh? Looking eating sweets and all that. They're up to no good. I've just messaged you about it. Sorry.
How? You're doing this? How have you messaged anyone?
Clever. I think that Ruben Neves, he is a good player.
Yes.
He can play in that role that we need as a sort of defensive midfielder. We need someone there. He's got that experience. He's still only young at 24. Is he a signing that I want? Is he the one on my list? No. Because
do you also think we would get 35 million Neves and 65 million in Ndidi? Do you think we're going to get both of those players this window? Because for me, it's Neves or nothing. Well, Neves and nothing. Do you know what I mean? He's the one. If we're going to be getting Rúben Neves, we ain't getting someone else alongside him.
No.
And for me, he's not the exact ideal profile for what we need at the moment.
RM says, Jay, would you recommend shaving before, during, after a shower? I shave in the shower. That's my head as well as my face. I choose to be bald.
And your fanny.
I do not take my children into the shower. Thank you very much. You leave my door so I don't weird.
Fuck off! I'm not on this video anymore. You've made it bad.
Right.
You've sullied the good name of Stretford Paddock, Jay. What's next? Forget this Neves tripe.
Yes, you've just thrown me there by talking about me shaving my fanny.
I didn't say that!
Shaving my fanny in the shower.
I meant your bum.
Thought you meant my daughter, Fanny. Right, moving on.
Throw up, Jay.
No, let's not. Right, moving on. Lingard, who's going?
Oh yeah,
where's he going?
West Ham.
He's not, though, is he?
Why not?
Because they're not gonna be able to entice a player of Jesse Lingard quality to stay with him for another season when he's basically just carried him to 6 single-handedly.
But surely, you don't think if they offer 25, 30 million, then he'd go there?
No, because I think he wants Champions League football. He's 28 until he's 29. He's not going to get another deal after this, another big money deal. So I just think that he's going to end up going somewhere where he's going to get Champions League football or there or thereabouts. I don't think West Ham is that. I think he's had a good season there. They've had a good season. Next season, they could finish 14th.
Yeah.
And he's stuck there and he's like...
Got 2 more years left.
Yeah, I'm not going anywhere.
So, but here's the point then. So if he stays in England, he ain't coming back to United, I don't think. He's not going to Liverpool.
Yeah.
I can't see him at City.
Yeah.
And Chelsea don't need him. Would they want him? So if he wants Champions League football, he's going to have to go to Lille or...
Maybe that is then. Maybe that is that not a better option for him than staying at West Ham?
Maybe. My only concern with that is with some of the things he's had going on off the pitch over the last sort of year or two.
Yeah.
Would moving to another country,
that's
leaving
a fair
his family,
point because he has had a lot of. He's had his issues. He's had his family issues. He's spoken about it quite openly.
Yes.
Spoken about it on this channel. He said about 3 years ago when we had him on, or 2.5 years ago, that he had a psychologist that he'd asked for at the club. So maybe that is a point that a move abroad could be counterproductive to him when he seems to have got his mental health and everything sorted. I don't know. I just feel like if you go to some clubs, like I get where you're coming from, but like if you go to Spurs, for example, you've at least got that almost illusion of Champions League football is a regular thing. Like you might not make it, but it's like.
And if nothing else, you're probably going to get Europa League.
Yeah, you think Spurs you still sort of associate with a Champions League type club. Even Leicester almost feel like a Champions League title club more than West Ham.
I could see it at Leicester.
Yeah, and he's been there before, don't forget. West Ham, I just don't see it. And I think for me, West Ham have had the best season they're going to have. I don't think next season they'll be as good as they were this season.
No.
They might be, they might prove me wrong. I just think it's going to be a struggle. Will they keep over the Declan Rice? Will they keep over players that perhaps some people may be looking at? Maybe Cresswell, maybe there's one or two others. I'm not so sure they will. So I just feel Jesse, I think I can see him going to somewhere, for want of a better word, a little bit more...
prestigious.
Yeah, great word. I was going to say glamorous, but prestigious is much better. Well done. Yeah, so I don't see that one happening.
But we've got till after the Euros anyway, that's when he's
making
his decision.
And lots of people will be like, we'll get Jesse to West Ham and we'll have Declan Rice and, you know, all that sort of jazz. I just don't think he's going to stay there. He might do, he's happy. That plays a big part in it. We'll move swiftly on. England. 6 players from Manchester United named in the provisional England squad. Henderson, Maguire, Shaw, Lingard, Greenwood and Rashford. No Aaron Wan-Bissaka.
Not surprising. Disappointing for him, but he hasn't played for England. Why would he start now? I think it's silly. I would take him. I think he's a perfect option against the likes of France, Spain, Holland, probably Belgium. Any of the big teams with better players than England have got that like to keep the ball. He's a perfect option. One-on-one with Eden Hazard, you fancy him all day over anyone in England's squad. One-on-one with even Cristiano Ronaldo. I know he plays more central these days, but he still likes to drift out wide. I would trust Wan-Bissaka one-on-one against Cristiano Ronaldo.
100%. You know, it's funny you say that, because
Ronaldo,
have you seen the video doing the rounds about, I think it's on this day, I think it was just a reminiscent thing about Ashley Cole, just tackling Ronaldo and sort of keeping him quiet and doing all these other things. And someone said, this is literally, I saw a comment on the tweet saying, this is what Aaron Wan-Bissaka does every game.
Yeah.
And he kind of does.
Yeah.
You remember how much fucking dramas Raheem Sterling used to cause us? I know he didn't score goals, but he was constantly getting in positions where you think he's going to score it, and De Gea would make a save, or he'd hit the post, or he'd fluff his lines or whatever. Aaron Wan-Bissaka just completely keeps him quiet. And to the point of, now Raheem Sterling has moved over to the other side, if you notice, when we play City. It's usually Foden, I think, who goes up against Wan-Bissaka. And he's dealt with him quite well as well. So he is that guy who can keep attackers quiet no matter how talented they are. So yeah, I'm a little bit surprised. I think on the season he's had, he deserves it. He's also another player who plays every week. He's played 53 games for United this season.
Yeah. And no offence, I know Jesse Lingard's had a good 10 games.
Yeah.
He's had 10 times this season that Jesse Lingard's had.
I know.
Wan-Bissaka has played 50 games, 40 of them brilliantly.
Yeah.
Excuse me. 10 of those he's been out of position maybe. Sometimes he struggles with those back post crosses, especially when there's a double overload at that side. But you look at some of the players in that squad, he's had a better season than most of them.
Yeah.
And for me, it's very disappointing, but not surprising at all. This is a 33-man squad that will get whittled down to a 26-man squad. I wouldn't be surprised if Dean Henderson didn't go. I wouldn't be surprised if maybe one of those other ones, maybe Jesse Lingard, didn't go either.
I don't know.
7 more are leaving.
I think Greenwood could make way.
Perhaps, yeah.
And I think there's a thing, and I always forget the game, but Southgate has a massive soft spot for Jesse Lingard. I think he helped him keep his job as under-21s manager with a goal against someone in the under-21s, and Southgate's always sort of remembered that and looked at Jesse as that guy.
And also, Jesse Lingard has been excellent for England.
Yeah.
Let's not think.
No.
I agree with you. I'm sure that's the case as well. But it's not some like, oh well, Jesse gets picked because he gets picked. Jesse's been really good in the last major tournament we had. I know it was 3 years ago now, but Jesse Lingard was one of our better players in that tournament. Yeah. So, yeah, I would be disappointed for him if he didn't make it. And I wasn't trying to use him as a comparison to disparage Lingard.
No, I know you were.
I was just saying Wan-Bissaka. But yeah, England squad is out. Check it out if you haven't seen it.
Yeah, and personally, I'd be quite happy if Greenwood doesn't go. I want him to go. You can see there Gareth Southgate's talking about it. He's an absolutely outstanding finisher, there's no question of that. He's another very young player. His all-round game is still coming together, but he's clearly got an exceptional talent for finishing. Had a rough year, done well, come out of it. I don't necessarily think he needs to go and sit on the bench for England, which is probably what he'd do. Yeah. And if he does, anything wrong or he fluffs a chance, then all the press and everyone will be on his case. Maybe the next tournament will be the one for him. But if it was up to me in terms of ability, I'd take him. I think he's the most naturally gifted Englishman on the planet. People go, Harry Kane. Harry Kane gets loads more goals and, is a better all-round striker. I just think in terms of raw talent and finishing, Mason Greenwood's superb, but he can wait because it's only England, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. What's next?
We'll move on to the one that you like to wrap things up.
Great.
Jason Sanchez.
Finally!
You can see there from the graphic, players want Grealish, Ole wants Sancho. Do you know, it's just reminding me. I shouldn't even say this, but I'll say it right. You know, I was doing that Fergie thing. I know I don't like to talk about it. Yeah. After Fergie had been down, Ollie came and we couldn't get him. Like he came and then he saw Simon Stone. He just went to walk past him and he stopped for Simon Stone. And there was a bit of a scrum to go and get Ollie, and we didn't end up doing him. And then one of the PR people came over and he went, "Did you get everyone you want?" And then we said, "Yeah, we got Fergie. You know, we're happy." And he went, "Did you get Ole?" No,
Ole. First day on the job, pal.
Yeah, he went. He saw me in the report, so look, he went, "I'm not a football fan."
You're not, no, but you are here, and you thought you might have done your research. But Ole, whatever.
So it just reminded me of that. So Ole wants Sancho. Players want Grealish. Who do you want? We know Maka wants Grealish because he's another Brummie and he thinks he's going to give him a lift to training. Who do you want?
Well, this story basically is, apparently there are rumours on, this is from the Telegraph, so it is quite reliable.
Mike Maguire in it, who's very reliable, like Mike Maguire.
And he has said, and we should be able to see, I think, the quote here, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has made a Jadon Sancho transfer priority this summer, despite support from some Man United players for Jack Grealish as a signing. So apparently, much like we saw with a few of the players in 2004, was it, when we signed Cristiano Ronaldo, 2003? They came to Fergie and was like, "You've got to sign this guy, he's ridiculous."
Well, John O'Shea, he taught John O'Shea a new one, didn't he? Yeah. And it was like Eric. If you watch the Captain's Log, I think, or one of the documentaries in the early 90s, Fergie said that Bruce and Pallister, when we played Leeds, were raving about Eric. Yeah. Like, wouldn't shut up about him. Like, his movement, everything. It was just a nightmare to play against Eric Cantona. And that said Fergie got into Fergie's head and obviously led to that.
So it sounds as though similar things happening now with Jack Grealish. Some of the players have said, we need to sign Jack Grealish. He's a great player. We know how good he is playing against him and with him for England. He's the man to get. He'd grow well in this team. But it looks as though Ole has said, and as we've said before on this channel, Ole once again this summer is making Sancho the priority. And again, it's the Telegraph. So this isn't, the Express or TalkSport or whoever. This is a much more reliable journalist, much more reliable publication. Whatever you think of the Telegraph, they are much more reliable when it comes to sporting stories. So it is just confirmation, if we didn't already need it, that United are after Jadon Sancho again this summer, and he will be Manchester United's priority, which for me is very exciting because as much as I'd like United to go after Kane, and I think if we could get him, he would change everything at United. I think he would make us a much bigger threat in the Champions League. I think he would, alongside another signing, maybe make us title contenders as well. But in terms of the shape and the imbalance in Manchester United squad, Jadon Sancho is the perfect fix for so many of our problems, and the fact that we're still after him, for me, is fantastic.
No, I agree. We need a right winger. I like both of them. Jack Grealish particularly impressed me. I wasn't a big fan of his, but when he came to Old Trafford a couple of years ago when they got that 2-2, he got absolutely booted all over the pitch, kept getting up, kept taking on players, kept wanting the ball, got his goal, took it well. And I just feel that he convinced me with that performance. I know you can't judge a player off one game, but then I started to take a bit more interest in him, and whenever I saw him, he played really well. I just feel that right now we need that right winger, and
that's what Ole thinks.
Because we're playing Greenwood out of position. Yeah. That's what we're doing. Or Marcus. If Marcus or Greenwood start on right wing, we're playing them out of position. They might do a good job there, but that's not their natural position. Yeah. It is Jadon Sancho's. And with a 34-year-old Edinson Cavani and Anthony Martial with question marks around his form or his long-term future, then we need to be able to play Mason Greenwood down the middle. So makes more sense. But listen, if we sign Jack Grealish, I'm not going to be fucking complaining.
Oh no, me neither.
No, absolutely not. We'll wrap up there just before I get into it. Just before I leave, sorry. I'll just see a couple of the comments. Charles Hobbs says he's a great player, but we need a right-sider to offer balance. So obviously, I think he's sort of mimicking what I've said there. Sancho is a must. I need a right winger, says Dan. Other people are saying, Alex Bailey says, if we forget Kane, we get Cavani, and Cavani will look out for Greenwood and improve him. We need Jason Sanchez, so get that one. We'll leave it there. Thanks for everyone who's watched tonight. Thanks to everyone who's got involved in the comments. Loads of great comments in there, loads of people watching, which is always good to see. We're going to be back tomorrow, obviously, for the small matter of the Europa League final against Villarreal. We're going to have the lot, man. We're going to have pre-match build-up. I think everyone's going to be in. It's going to be me, Joe, Andy Tay, Stephen Alson, Adam McCullough. Obviously, your predictions. You can send your predictions to
paddockmatchday@gmail.com. Video yourself for 30 seconds saying what you think the score is going to be. Send the video over and we'll put it in the pre-show.
This is your channel, man. Do that. Get involved. Please do send us your videos because, you know, we've not been able to chat to fans at the grounds. That's starting again now, and it'd be great if more people sent in the videos because we wanted you to appear on this channel as much as we do, mainly because I'm dead lazy. So it means less work for me, less of stuff, and I can just get other people to do it.
Notoriously very lazy.
Yeah, it just makes my life better. So do send them in, and make sure you tune in for that tomorrow. Don't forget as well to hit like, share and subscribe, and we have got people over in Gdansk, so we'll be updating the socials with the story of what's going on over there, so make sure you check that out. Joe Smith, go and check him out, Joe Smith 93. Go and check out his video with Rio Ferdinand because it is a bit of a...
He talks about transfers. He talks about who United should sign to win the title next season. If you haven't seen it already, make sure you check that out.
Yeah, and don't forget to hit like, share and subscribe. Thanks for watching.